Now I'm going to show you something called the breakpoints. So intuitively, breakpoints means you can have a slow motion of the execution in Java so that you can see how exactly Java execute your code. You can slow down. Okay, it will turn out to be very useful. Okay, I'll show you one example right away. So let's create a first project for this week first. Java projects, and then CSE114, Spring 16, Week 03, Lab1. Okay. And now we're going to create a new class. Okay. What about just simple if statements, let's say. And then we're going to put the main method there as usual. And I'm going to try one of the examples that I put on the slides just to show you. You can try similar stuff also from your slides. Okay, let me just choose. What about the one where we talk about something being more general and being more specific? Let me just find out that's where that slide is. Bear with me. So that should be when we talk about overlapping. Oh, by the way, when you download the PDF from the web, did you realize there's actually hyperlinks all over? Okay, let me show you. Maybe you didn't realize that. It's actually very useful. So if you go there, you can see there's SUNY Korea logo, right? Click on that, it will bring you to the index. Anyone actually notice there's such a function there? Sorry, I should have mentioned this. Yeah, it's quite a useful function there. So you got this logo here every slide, so you can always go to the index when you get lost. And then you can see the index there. You can just go to the topic you like. For example, for now, I would like to go to, let's say this one here, common error. If you go there, it will bring you to the slides. Magic. No? Yeah, actually, okay, it's worth knowing. Okay, let's say I would like to try this block of code here. Okay, I will just copy that. Go back to Eclipse. Just copy. Of course, I got to declare the variable. So now let's say string. Oh, actually, I'm going to read some double value. So let's just make it more useful. So let's have our usual scanner here. Input new scanner system.in. Okay, as usual. So now let's say double GPA is assigned to input.next double. And then we have some string value here. Let's say graduate with is equal to, let's say, just that. Just an empty string, let's say. Okay, let me fix the indentation a little bit. So you should really have at each level here, and then like that. Oops. And like that. Like that. Okay, so now you might be wondering, let's try one example. So as we know, this code here is not right because this happens to be the most general condition out of all the conditions here. Somehow this is too general, and this is the most specific one, which should have been arranged at the top. Okay, let's say somehow you finish your code, but you're not really sure what's going on there, so you want to try. Okay, for example, you can try something like, let's say if I simply try 4.8, in which case I should really get high distinction. I should. Okay. Yes, very good. That's also true. System.out print line. But I'll show you that even without a printout, you can also check something. But that's new, yeah. So let's say graduate with. So what about GPA plus maybe some space. Like that. Okay, if I try that, let me try 4.8. Oh, I forgot the prompt. Sorry. So you should say system.out.println. Enter your GPA. Okay, so now 4.8 is only a pass, not a high distinction, let's say. Okay, so now, how do we ask Java to slow down and show me how exactly you print this line here? I would like to know. How do we check that? Okay, I remember some of you, I forgot it's either that's from Monday or Tuesday's lab. Some of you accidentally click on the border over here, okay, and then they realize this is actually the breakpoint. Anyway, so you can see that on the border of your editor, there is some blue line over there, right? Okay, so let's say I would like to re-execute a code, but I would like Java to actually stop somewhere. Let's say I would like Java to stop over here. So if you double click, for example, line number 6 on the blue border there, if you double click, can you see this button there, like a bullet points? Okay, if you see that, that's how you set the breakpoints. That is to say, next time when you rerun your code in a particular way, Java runtime is going to stop there and let you inspect further into the variables, etc. That's a very cool feature in Eclipse, and that will help you debug, well, to help you find errors in your software very easily, much more easily. Okay, so let's say we put the breakpoints over here. So let's say that means next time when Java execute from top to bottom, Java is going to stop right before it execute this line, right before. Okay, let's try. So now the way to do this is by saying run and then debug as rather than run as. Okay, debug as Java application. Okay, maybe you should try. Okay, run. Okay, let me show you again. Run debug as Java application. If you do that, first of all, it's going to say, we'll just say allow for now. Okay, can you see that somehow there is some highlights on this line over here? Can you see this here? You can see over here, rather than Java, so it's now saying debug. You see something like that? Anyone not following, please raise your hand before I go on. So yes for everyone? You don't see debug? Okay, sure. Okay, let's try and run. Oh, actually, let's check. I'm going to say stop that. Oh, first of all, we have to put the breakpoints. Let's say, yeah, the breakpoint, let's say we put it over here. Okay. So also, let's put this print statement here first. We just say system.out.println. Let us for now just say graduate over here. Oh, yeah, just a variable. Get rid of the quotes. Just a variable. Oh, just get rid of the quotes. So now let's delete these two quotes here. Let's just type graduate. Just a variable. Yes. Okay, good. So now the way to put a breakpoint, make sure to save that. Okay. So to put the breakpoints, let's double click on this. So you can see the bullet points there, right? Okay. And that's how you put it back. So now say run and debug as Java application. So now I think we should have that window show view and open perspective. In this case, you can just go to window and open perspective. Go to debug. Okay. Yeah, I'll mention that. Okay. No, just go on. Okay, just in case you don't see the debug perspective, just in case, you can always go to window, open window perspective. There's some perspective called debug somewhere. Okay, let me just show you again. You can go to window perspective, open perspective, and then debug. You can always go there. okay, in case you don't see it. Okay, so now you can see somehow Java is trying to execute your code, but it stops there. Okay, so now it stops there right before this print line statement is executed, right before. Okay, so now there's options for you. I would say for now, for this, at this point, focus on. You can see this is the stop button, just to say stop the execution, and there is another something like here, step over. If you move your mouse over, something like this. That's something like that, right? You step over. If you click on that, it is going to execute one line at a time. That's why I call it slow motion. If you click on that, it's going to execute that line. That's why you see enter your GPA on the console, right? Okay, and now something that's extremely useful is something called variables here. Okay, so now you can see the variables here shows you all the variables that you have declared so far. Okay, so far we only got GPA. So now we are in line number 7. So this is right before we execute this line over here. So GPA has not been declared yet, not yet. Okay, so now if you say step over again, and okay, actually you have to enter something. So 4.8. So now you can see that we do have a variable here. So under variables, if you don't see it, you can always go to Window, Show View, and go to Variables. Okay, if you don't see the Variables panel there, you can go there, Variables here. Okay, 4.8. You can see the GPA has been set to 4.8. So basically, you always have to use the breakpoints and debugger and also the variables to see what's the current value. Okay, so now GPA has been set to 4.8. And now let's see. So now we don't see the graduate width yet in the variable section, simply because now we are in the beginning of this line, right before we try to declare this graduate width variable, right before that. So now if you step over again, so you're going to see graduate width there, empty string. Also, we are really doing one line at a time. So now here comes the exciting points. So now we're going to see how Java evaluates the if branch, which corresponds to exactly what I said in the class. But so now it's more like animation for you, so you can really play with that. Because we know another thing that's really cool, something called expressions over here. Because we know, let me just delete that. That's just from my previous semester. I'll just delete that now, just to avoid confusion. Okay, expression there can let you evaluate any expression you like. So for example, I would like to know if this if condition here will pass or not. What I can do is just type it out. If I say GPA, which is currently 4.8, if I simply say GPA here, it will tell me it's 4.8. Let me just add another expression here. GPA larger than or equal to 2.5, which is exactly what line 10 would check. It's actually equal to true, right? So now I can already predict, although this line has not been executed yet, from the expression panel there, I already know it's going to evaluate to true. And now if I say step over, indeed, this condition here is true, and then it is going to set the graduate width to be pass. Okay, and then if I go back to variables here, it's not being set yet because now we are still in the very beginning of this line, not yet. So now if I say step over again, so now graduate width has been set to pass over here. So now, since this branch here has been executed, so the rest will be ignored. That's exactly what we said in the class. So if you say step over again, it's going to jump over all the branches, right? All the later branches and go directly to GPA graduate width. Like that. It's going to say GPA 4.8 pass. So that's how you see Java executed your code in slow motion. Should I do it again? Just to make sure everyone is following. Should I do it again? Maybe? Okay, what about I do it again? Okay. Okay, do it again, and then you're free to go. So we will actually continue from here on Wednesday. Okay. Let's do it again. Oh, by the way, so there are two perspectives for you to learn in Eclipse that you need. So one is called Java The other one is called debug. Okay, Java is just like the normal editor view you have. Debug is like when you're trying to have breakpoints and want to run in slow motion. That's where you have to switch to the debug perspective. If you don't see debug here, you can go to Window and then Perspective, open Perspective, and then debug. Okay, that's how you bring it back. Okay, let's just try again. So basically, if you simply don't have any breakpoints, so there's nowhere for Java to stop. You have to put some breakpoint, at least one. The way I would just put it either the first line or the second line. Okay, if I put it here, that means Java is going to stop over here, which means right before Java execute this line, right before that, and right after it has executed all the lines before. Okay, so now we're going to put a breakpoint in line number 6. Okay, here, and then we're going to execute it line by line. Let's do it again. Run, not run as, should be debug as Java application. If you do that, it's going to switch to the debug perspective. Okay, so now you can see that we are now stopping at line number 6, right before we execute line number 6 actually. So now you can see in the variable, so there are 2 panels to focus on for now. So one is called variables, the other one is expressions. Okay, we'll get there. So let's say variable. If you don't see any one of them, so you can simply go to Window and Show View and go to either variables or expressions. You can always bring them back. Okay. Okay, let's focus on this. So now we are in the beginning, right before we execute line number 6. So that's why you don't see the enter your GPA in the console yet. Okay, but now if we say step over, don't worry about the step into. That's something we'll talk about when we talk about methods later on. So just step over. If you do that, it's going to execute this line here, and now that's why you have enter your GPA, right? So now you're going to, because now it is waiting for you to actually enter some number, so you can interact. Let's say 5.4. Let's try a different number. What about 3.7? Okay. If I try 3.7 here, but now the variables there, you don't see the GPA variable yet, simply because we are now in the beginning of line number 7. But as soon as we step over it, we'll see GPA in the variables. So if you say step over, and then hit enter, and then you're gonna see GPA over here, 3.7, right? Okay, so now we don't see graduate width yet for a similar reason, because now we're in the beginning of line number 8, right before we declare graduate width. But if you say step over, you will see graduate width over there, empty string. Okay. So now we want to know which branch this is going to evaluate to true. Okay, we can try. The place to go will be expressions. Okay, so now let me just remove these and then do it again. So you can remove all the previous expression by saying remove all. Okay, first of all, I would like to know what the GPA is. GPA 3.7 at the moment, and I would like to know if GPA greater than or equal to 2.5, which is this if condition here. It evaluates to simply just true. Okay, so there's no way around. You will, because that's the most general condition you can get. You put it as the first, so all the value is going to pass there. Okay, so you're going to see that I'm going to predict, since this is going to evaluate to true, so I'm actually go into this branch over here. And indeed, we're going to set graduate width to be pass, but not yet, because you can see variables here. Graduate width is still empty string because we are in the beginning of this line here. But now, as soon as we say step over, so now it becomes pass. Okay, and now after this, after we execute this branch here, it's going to skip all the else if branches and go directly to the next line, right? If you do it again, you're going to reach here right before we print out the last statements, right before that. If you step over again, it's going to say GPA 3.7 pass. Okay, right? So I would say before Wednesday, your only homework exercise would be try to make sure you know how to use the debugger breakpoints with this example here, and then maybe try just a few examples to see the in the selection slides whenever you got confusion. So that's a very good tool for you to study, to see how the Java program will behave. Okay? Okay, that'll be about it. So on Wednesday, we're going to maybe just do one more example for the breakpoints and debugger, and then we'll go into loops. Okay, thank you. So I'll see you on Wednesday. Yeah, thank you.